What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome back. If you've been here before, if it's your first time here, welcome. Tonight, we're starting a new series. Many of you know me for having my one-to-one series called The Conversation, but I wanted to expand on that and set something up where it's more of a conversation among many people about a specific topic or two. So the name is familiar, but it's a new concept to this channel. We're starting the Roundtable, as you see somewhere up there. Yeah, right there. So anyway, what I did tonight was I invited some former conversation guests to join me, and they all seem to fall into a certain age range. So I'm just going to bring them in one at a time. We're going to start with the person who has the best weather going on right now. I don't know. He says it's cold out there, but I don't know.
It's cold out here, KB. I'm telling you. Ooh, my old bones are cracking.
Oh my gosh. You must be the oldest one here then.
I think I am.
Really?
5'7".
We'll talk about ages in a minute. Before we do that, it's a little rainy down by him, so I'll bring him in next. And that is James from 20th and 21st Movies.
Hello, good evening. How are y'all doing?
Doing well.
Doing good,
well,
buddy.
Trying to stay out of this cold weather. That wind out there is kicking. Woo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully you don't lose power tonight.
I hope not. Fingers crossed.
Yes, indeed.
Come on, Border Power.
And we have a borderline guest with us. I'm still not sure if he's a millennial or if he's a Gen Xer, but we love him, so I had to bring him in. We got my man Fish. What's going on, my friend?
Yeah, definite day. Hey, definitely not a millennial. No.
What did you call it? A zennial?
A xenial. Yeah.
A xenial.
It's kind of crazy. It's a small subset. It's like in between the two, but it's just like a little 6-year age range, just right there. But yeah, I identify more with Gen Xers, even though I was a little younger. But yeah, I did all the things in the 80s, so I consider myself an 80s kid.
You did all the things. It's a miracle.
Yeah, I'm done. I can't. Yeah.
Right.
But no, I did all the the kid things, the cool things, outside playing and running around and
oh my gosh,
indoors on
like
our phones all the time because we didn't have it, So, but yeah,
you sound like a meme right now. We were the generation that played outside.
Exactly. Lights came on.
You home by dinner.
Time to go home. Exactly.
Yeah. Street lights was our time to come in. We're definitely going to have some fun. I asked the gentlemen if they can to bring some nostalgia with us. So I see Huck is represented for the 70s and the 80s. Show it off.
And of course, got to get back in time. Woo!
I like that.
Right?
I like that.
Oh,
And
my two
I see
favorite decades.
Fish has on some classic material.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Best movie of 77, in my opinion.
This is not us starting, but my wife asked a question. She's like, what is like the kids of this generation, what is their Star Wars? What is their everything franchise? And I said, it's kind of hard because we don't see it the way it was a phenomenon for us.
Yeah.
They have their own, but it's a lot more segmented. I said, but you speak to some kids and they will say that 30 years from now, Endgame is going to be like their Star Wars or their Empire or whatever it is. And it's hard to imagine that as us because we know what Star Wars meant to us. But
right.
Every generation has their franchise.
It's hard for one thing to dominate like Star Wars did back then.
But if you think about it, we kind of created a comic book genre now from these movies.
Yeah, and I think with the 90s, you have the Harry Potter generation. That is definitely their Star Wars, and it also kind of rolls a little bit into Lord of the Rings. For me, the Lord of the Rings, I love those movies so much. Those kind of became my second Star Wars for me.
Yeah.
That's because the big epic thing and all the great characters and just so good.
Yeah,
Get
but
lost in this
I remember when it was the big thing was to read the books. So reading the books when I was young, I couldn't imagine seeing them as epic movies on the big screen, because there was back then no technology to bring those things to life. But times have changed, and micro technology and all that good stuff. We have one more guest coming in. We have Mr. Tony, Basement Blues, but he's having some inclement weather. So we're going to get started by looking at who's joining us in the chat. Hopefully by the time we get through these, we'll have him join us. So first of all, we have another Gen Xer here. I told him I'm going to invite him on a future episode of this. He says, what a great idea, KB. I'm all about the Gen X stuff. Looking forward to seeing this. Well, welcome.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us.
Hey.
We have Jeff, John Doe Juggalo, saying good evening to all. What a wonderful panel to start out the series. Thank you, my friend. Thanks,
Mr.
very
Juggalo.
exciting as well. We got Sarah saying, hey.
Hey, Sarah.
We got another Gen Xer here saying, hey there, everyone. Please make sure to
Hey,
smash the
man.
like button. Thank you.
We feel like a bunch of cavemen tonight, don't we, boys?
Hey, I already put away my oil lantern. I put on some real modern day lights. So, it's not like I got to do homework tonight or anything. So he's here in spirit and in chat. So Basement Blues saying hello. Tiger Blues saying looking forward to it. Great show. Thank you.
Hello, Tiger.
So Tiger Blue. Somebody.
Let's see. Film Addiction in the house saying hey. People saying hi to each other. My sweetheart is here. Hello, my darling. So excited for this new series. Thank you for joining us, as always. Once again,
Good
people
to
saying
see you,
hi.
darling.
We got Cool Kid, Johnny watching. What's going on, man?
Johnny's watching us. That's what he's watching.
That's right. We got Gunchi on the check-in saying hi to all.
Hey, Gunchi.
Let's see. Looks like a great topic, great panel. Yeah, we're going to have some fun with this. We got Magic Hands in the house. What's up, Mike? Let's see. Who else? We got this guy. I don't know what he's doing.
What up, Fish? You twins.
We got Michael saying hi to everyone. Hi.
Hi, Michael.
Once again, everyone chatting to each other. This is another guy. I don't know who he is.
Who is
that? Seems like a cool guy.
We got a fellow Gen Xer here, Floyd House Flicks. What's up, Big Chris? Thanks for hanging out. He'll be on a future episode, so stay tuned. Let's see. He says it's cold out there in Cali. Is it?
Yeah, I mean it's frosty, man. It's like it hit almost freezing today. I brought my daughter to school today, and on my car said 37 degrees and a little bit of snow ice in the corner of my window. I was like, Huck man don't like snow.
I was about to say that's not much warmer than it was here. I mean, it was warm enough most of the day to rain, but then when the snow came in, it's 33 right now. But we have continuing flurries up until probably what are they saying now? 11 o'clock tomorrow. So constant flurries until 11 a.m. Let's see who else is here. We got Landon in the house saying hey to everybody.
What's going on, Larry?
He says, KB, Tony, Fish, James, Huck, Evening Xers. I like the sound of that. Xers. Sound like a superhero group.
We are.
We got Anthony's Horror and More. Should be a real fun show. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Yep, there we go. Fish is barely 40-something. He's right on the cusp. He's right there.
46. I'm on this side. I'm on this side of reaching 50. So yeah,
he got that good skin.
Like an old guy.
He got that good skin.
Like an old guy.
Let's see. Everyone's saying hi. We got Mika in the house saying hey to us.
Hey, Mika.
Hey,
friend. We got Ben in the house.
What's going on, Ben?
Hey, Ben.
And everyone's chatting back and forth. Keep it going. If you have any questions for us, please feel free to add them to the chat. We'll try to get to them. We have our own questions to go around. And we also have one more person joining us. I'm going to bring him in right now.
Tony.
Back with power.
Yes, but everything's kind of low power right now for whatever reason.
Okay.
So I'll look a little grainy, but that's all good.
Hey, we're glad you're here.
It's perfect for our time, like generation.
That's right.
Little grain, little grain.
Yeah.
You got the VHS going right
Yeah,
now
the
instead of the
VHS.
high def.
Kind of weird.
You're being nostalgic.
Glad to be here. I'm sorry about that technical difficulties.
Come on,
not
Tony.
your fault. You didn't go out and crank the generator, so these things happen. We got nothing but old jokes here tonight.
That's right.
We got
That's right.
Allie joining us. How you doing?
Hey, Allie.
Thank you for joining us. Let's see. All right, people talking about Star Wars and different franchises. We got Spicy in the house. What's up, my man?
Que pasa?
¿Qué pasa? Mhm.
Star Wars was my very first trilogy movie that I was introduced to then, and then after that, Harry Potter. That's a good amount of movies to be introduced to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely.
Excellent.
But Star Wars
Yeah.
first. We got Kitten Paws in the house
There
saying,
she
"I
is.
remember The Hobbit as an animated film." Yes,
I love that.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I
believe
remember
that was Ralph Bashki, right? That did The Hobbit and
Yes.
and the Lord of the Rings cartoon as well.
Yeah. I think it was one of those, probably The Hobbit, because really that comes before Lord of the Rings. And I think it was that got me interested in reading the books. First The Hobbit, which I just banged through that over and over. I just kept reading it because it was a short read. You wouldn't know about the 3 full-length extended edition movies, but it was a short read. Somebody's phone. Is that you, Fish?
No. I'm using my phone. It would have went.
It's all good. It's all good. I just scrolled
Yeah,
way
that
through.
was me. My daughter was calling me, so I was just like, nee, 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 nee. It's like,
It's all good. What's up, Timmy?
I'm in the room.
Yeah, Tony's back. Tony's back from the dead. There we go.
Yeah.
Movies with Ryan stopping by to
toying with
say
me.
hi. Catching the
Ryan.
replay.
What's up, bud?
Thought I just saw Cody. If I did, hello to you. Let's see. Thank you for everyone hanging out in the chat. We got Tiana. What's up, dear?
Tiana.
Hey, Tiana.
Ellie likes your shirt, Huck.
Thank
let's
you.
see.
Back to the future.
Boy, just
Adam,
for you.
Movie Hunter. Thank you, everyone, for popping in. Like Big Chris is here. Everyone hit that like button. Tell us what you think. This is a new series. This is the first one. We'll have another one next week on Wednesday evening. But tell us what you think. Tell us some topics you'd like to see. This is not just going to be about 80s nostalgia and cinema, but we're going to have a bunch of different topics. If you'd like to see anything, let me know.
Sorry, Floyd is funny. Floyd says my phone has a senior ringtone.
It is a bit old school. I gotta admit.
I said it
Revival.
that on purpose. I told my daughter call it 613, so the joke goes over perfectly.
Yeah, Mr. Moore in the house. What's going on, man?
Hey, Lutalo.
Let's see. Everyone hanging out. Thank you. Like I said, we want to get into it. So, first of all, we're going to go around the horn, and we're going to start with Mr. Tony and come around. But quickly, fellas, we're all in the Gen X. Fish is borderline, but I still say he's in there. He has the memory, so he's in there. If you feel comfortable, quick recap of ages.
Tell how old we are?
Yes, sir.
I just turned 55 on Saturday.
Blessings. Huck?
This is what 57 looks like if you take care of yourself.
Nice. Nice. James?
50 and still kicking.
Nice. And Fish?
46.
Nice. And I'm sort of close. I'm going to be 54 this year, so I'm 53 right now. I just want to compliment all you fellas. We look good for our ages.
I hope
I'll
so.
say that. I think the way we live in the past is a lot easier than the way people live today. So I think we have that advantage going for us.
Yeah, my secret is I stay in the basement. I don't get out in the sunlight.
The sunlight doesn't aid you.
That's almost a lie, because I know you go walking, you get your vitamin D in the morning.
I do.
Maybe before the sun is up, but I know you do.
But see, he lathers up with that SPF 50, you know, because we're like ghosts, me and Tony, you know. It's like George Carlin says, we don't go out to tan, we go out to neutralize the blue.
Right.
Right.
But just to get the conversation started, you know, there's obviously differences, even as movie watchers, between us as Gen Xers, even baby boomers before us, and later generations. How do you feel like, as blue tubers yourselves, being surrounded by others who grew up in later generations? Like I was saying before, their Lord of the Rings or their MCU is, you know, our Star Wars, but it's different. How do you feel like being surrounded by like the younger generations?
Well, I enjoy being around the younger generation just because, you know, I still enjoy those movies that they love. And whenever like me and Huck, we talk about Superman, Christopher Reeve.
Right.
It was like, oh man, I can't stand that, but I
Yeah,
love
that
it.
old Superman.
We love the new Superman too. We love it all. So
Yeah.
it's nice being able to have that different mix.
Huck?
Yeah. Well, but you know, it's also, it's nice that we can connect that way because we were there and we have that sort of like memory bond, which I'd love to just go down that Superman memory thing with you. But it's also, I find it fascinating how some of the younger generation is very in tune to older movies. That kind of surprises me, to be honest. Like, because I think we may be the last great movie appreciating generation, not us, but everyone that's in YouTube right now, because I feel like my daughter and her friends, like, they watch movies one time and they're done. I don't think she's ever going to care to collect anything, watch anything more than once. I feel like that is going to be a thing of the past as youth continues to rise. So we got to hold on to it, all of us.
Before I go to James, I think it's we see that with all kinds of media. I recently told this conversation I had with my son. He was like, Dad, I love 90s hip hop. I wish I grew up in that time. I'm like, but that's a great thing. You don't have to save your $20 to go buy the single cassette of an album that you have to sit with for the next 6 months, because either you're not going to have enough money or nothing of quality is going to come out for the next 6 months. That's how it used to be. I was like, you could just go on your phone and download a Wu-Tang album or download a Tribe Called Quest and listen to it. I said, but the advantage we had is that we got to kind of embrace that and study that. Same thing with and we'll talk about video stores and renting and all that stuff. The same thing with that. It's like we had limited resources, so we focus and we kind of learned that. You learn lines. It's so funny when I see a movie theater doing a quote along, because it's hardly ever a new movie. It's usually like 70s, 80s movies, your Ferris Bueller's or your Evil Deads or whatever it is, because we lived with those movies, so we memorized them and so forth. James, chime in here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really enjoy hearing, their perspectives, those who, are a lot younger, and just seeing the movies that they enjoy, but also, as Huck said, that a lot of them, some of them, reach back and they see some of these classic movies,
right?
Which is really fascinating to see, and just sort of hearing young people sort of reach back and show those experiences, like even. And this is not movies, but like earlier today, I was driving my son. This is after school, and he was telling me, "Oh, I like Barry Manilow."
Hey, there you go.
There you go.
You heard of Coco Cabana? Just hearing young people appreciate some of that old stuff is, it's kind of cool. They're not just they're not just blind to the past. They can appreciate more than things going on in the 2000s. So that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah. For sure. Fish, get in there.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, when movies came out, when we were younger, they stayed in theaters longer. We had the opportunity to go back repeatedly because we knew it would be forever. Like for it to come out on VHS eventually a year or a year and a half later, I remember taking a little cassette recorder with me into movie theaters and recording the movie so I could go home and listen to it.
Wow.
So that's how much I loved going to the theater. But it is fantastic to see these younger generations. have all this at their fingertips and be able to go down rabbit holes and find new things, or new things to them, but old things to us. But yeah, I do think it's fantastic that we have that technology where stuff is coming out a little quicker. But I do feel bad for them that they aren't holding on to them and like making memories like we did with film.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that, being the generation we are, we sort of have the ability to appreciate it in ways that maybe they're not able to, because we, from the 80s, we actually saw the beginning of physical media and the availability of being able to have movies in your home. We saw the beginning of that, with these VHS tapes, back in the late 70s, early 80s. And now it's much more widely available, but there was a time where, you weren't able to just get a copy of movies that you wanted necessarily. You had to watch it on cable or, whenever it was available. Or if you didn't catch it in the theaters, then you just had to wait till it came out on cable if it came out. And so there's just a lot more options available to us today that we didn't have, back in the day, so to speak.
Yeah. And like Fish was saying, it would be in the theater for a lot longer. They didn't churn out movies like they do nowadays.
Yeah.
And there would be movie tie-ins like trading cards and comic books and so many different tie-ins to these films that made you kind of really appreciate it more.
Yeah.
And another thing that KB brought up was the fact, I remember going to work so I could make money to go to the movies, or go to work to make money to go buy a record player or a VCR. It took a long time to save that money up, and I think that's probably why I've got such a good, strong work ethic, because I had to work and work and work from 15 years old just so that I could go to the movies.
Yeah. And God forbid if you went to the movies and it was a stinker. I don't know about you, but I'd be pissed off. I'd be like so upset that, I saved up my chores or, working that before school, after school job, whatever. And then you go, I used to get dropped off when I was younger. And then, of course, when I was older, I went with my friends. And then it was a stinker of a movie. Oh, that used to upset me. But today, kids will just back out, find another movie, or just go back to something they've seen 100 times. It's almost like, and I saw this going back about 10 years ago in film school, that a lot of people were into like these subgenres and these niches because it's too big to say I'm into science fiction, or it's too big to say I'm into horror movies.
Right.
You have to be into slashers, or you have to be into, torture porn, or you have to be into some type of subgenre, because there's just, like you said, Tony, so much content.
It's
kind of hard to live with something.
In the YouTube terms, you niche down, I guess.
And I never thought about that, is the fact that when people go to movies nowadays, they're so distracted. They'll be on their phones in the movie theater.
So bad.
Because they're so used to being able to fast forward through movies, or they're so used to being able to just click their clicker and go on to another movie on streaming or whatever, that you get those kind of crowds in the movie theater now. That's what builds my anger up sometimes. The reason why I go to the very early show, because I don't like to be distracted with phones and different things. People having conversations in the middle of a movie is aggravating to me.
It's like they're at their house.
It's like we've gone through at least 3 generations of, home media from the early days. We'll come back and talk once again about VHS and video rental stores and stuff like that. But we went from that, where it was, oh my gosh, we don't have to go to a cinema. We could wait a year and a half, like you said, Fish, and then see it, but we could see it at home. And we went from that to, like you said, the cable streaming era, to where it is now. People are so used to consuming that media at home. They want to take I dare I say, the rude approach to watching movies that they have at home back to the theater. And it's almost like the etiquette is unknown because they're so used to doing it at home.
And Fish can probably vouch for this too, since he works at a movie theater. But I go to the movie theater to get away from the distractions, because I know if I watch something at home, I'm going to have that phone near me. It's going to be distracting. So that's why I love to go to the cinema, to get away from the distraction. So when you do go and you do get distracted, it's very frustrating because you can't just pause the movie in the middle of it has to keep going. So it's aggravating.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I even if I'm not watching the movie, I'm working it, and I go in there because I'm serving drinks and food and stuff and dropping checks. But I'm in there as minimal as possible. But when I do go in there and I see people on their phone, it just irks the crap out of me so bad. It just bugs me. I just want to grab it and just slap it out of my hand. Oh my God, it just bugs.
So
and that raises a really good point about like with the phones and the internet age that we live in, that back then in the 80s you didn't have to worry as much about spoilers like you do today. I mean,
unless it was a big blockbuster movie.
I was gonna say, unless you had that one jerk coming out as you were going in of the premiere and just yells it out in the lobby. Yeah.
I mean, like imagine Empire Strikes Back,
Right.
Somebody
did that.
Is there any way in the world that secret would be kept today?
Yeah.
By the way, everyone in the chat, keep the comments and the questions going. I'm going to get to them in a few minutes.
Fish, you talked about you'd record it and sort of relive it back on the cassette. I would do that with TV shows. I'd have the recorder and I'd hit it. And even if like my family was in the back and they start laughing, I'm like, shh, I got to listen to this later. And I would do that to Star Trek a lot, But the other thing is like, KB, you were saying how we got to sort of really live in those albums for a while. Like our version of Spotify, who else did this? Raise your hand. Is I would put a cassette in and record the radio as the song came on, and that's 100%. How we did Spotify. And then you walk away with a mixed tape, and that took you maybe a week or longer to get that thing. You had to earn that cassette. Right,
and you appreciate
it. God help that DJ that started talking over the song before it was over.
You got it.
Say, shut up.
and they're trained to talk right to when the song starts speaking. I'm like, dude, you're killing me, But
like, don't you know what I'm doing over here?
That's how you got to do it.
That intro gets me pumped up.
But
check in with the chat quickly, and we'll get back into this because this is great conversation so far. Let's see. Tony from Masters of the 80s would be good for the series. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Tony's
We're gonna have check-ins with this series. So I'm doing 2 up front, 1 in another couple of months, and we're gonna keep checking in because there's actually a lot of us. There's a lot of us Gen Xers out there, and we got something to say. So we'll keep doing this. Kids in the future may have nostalgia for Squid Games. Yeah, go figure.
Okay.
There's Cody. I know I saw you, brother. What's going on, everyone? Don't forget to Roundhouse, pick that like button. That I get asked why I collect movies all the time. We all do, man. We all do. They look at it like once upon a time this was a library of books, and they got after a certain time people were asked, unless they were rich and this was mahogany wood or whatever, they got asked, why do you still collect books when you could just get it from the library or download it on your Kindle or whatever the case may be?
Yep.
This is a great quote here from Guy. He said, youth today is about consuming content, and because of the availability of everything is breeding the attention span of a fly. Not all, but I will agree in general terms to that, because it's like, and we should be included in that because, we have physical, we have streaming, we still go to the movies for the most part, and it's still consumed.
Yeah.
So we got Crazy Drazy in the house. What's up, brother?
Hey,
what's up, right?
Jeff said we had to appreciate what we had because it was all we had. Amen to that. Content is consistently in your face now. Yeah. I mean, I didn't have cable until I was in college. And man, every night was the Patty Duke show on Nick at Night. That's what I fell asleep to because I still remember the first time I saw MTV. It was when it had to be the weekend that George Michael father figure dropped, because I saw that video 11 times. That's how many times I saw it. It was just like every 10 minutes they would play it, and I stayed up all night watching MTV. So
MTV was great, man. That was a good vibe.
We're going to talk about VHS in a few minutes, bro. A few more.
Can't wait to get into that.
Today it's about keeping up with what's popular and not necessarily watch what's good or what was good. It's true, because you have so much. It's even harder now to determine what's good, You might follow directors, but even your favorite director will come out with a stinker just because they could get a studio to back them up on it.
Yep.
I love Blockbuster and Family Video. My daughter was just saying that today. She misses Family Video. One of the things I did was rent a movie that I'd never seen before and watch it, but now I can't really do that anymore because nothing's around.
Yeah.
That's why we buy. That's why we buy. We got Mama Blu-ray in the house. What's up, Mama
Blu-ray? That was fun.
Thank you for
Funny.
joining. We
Greetings,
love you.
darling.
I was
She's the
pissed when
youngest one.
DVD was coming out. I remember seeing the commercials for DVD at 9 years old and just hating it.
No.
I don't know, man. I'm such a quality hound
Oh
that
yeah.
I'm like, I love my VHS tape. I hate rewinding. I used to get charged when I didn't rewind at my video store. So
Yes.
all those little things, I was like, bring on DVD. I got Wizard of Oz so my wife could appreciate it and not question why I spent $300 on the new player when the VHS player works just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have a method to it. Talking about going to the movies, I turn off my phone when I go into a movie because if I have it on, I get distracted. I know that's what it is. It's not that people are being rude as much as they're just like, this is constantly in my hand, so it's a distraction.
Yep.
If I see anyone with their phones, I yell at them and go report them. Oh, that's you doing that.
I wish
Okay.
I had the nerve to do that because I would.
Good evening, Susan. Thanks for hanging out with us.
How you doing?
Always good to
I
see
just
you.
tell him to turn it off right in front of him. There was a guy that kept flipping his phone on, and I thought he was gonna, when the movie started, turn it off. So I was letting him do it during the trailers, which I also wasn't happy. But when it was still on, I gently went, "Phones away, please," and then he didn't, and then I had to go, "Phones away, please," like that. And then he looks at me
I
like
know
I'm
what that
an
is.
a-hole.
I know what that is. No, you're not being an a-hole. We're going to talk about that next.
Yeah.
We got
But he gave me
a
the
couple more
stink eye, and
comments.
I'm like, don't give me that look.
Going back to Tony's comment, if I'm at the cinema,
Mhm.
I tend to be less distracted as long as the other patrons are respectful. Early shows. That's the best way not to be
That's what the
distracted.
guy just talked about.
We got the chef in the house. What's up, my
What's up,
man?
Jim?
What's up, Jim?
I'm gonna piggyback off of Huck's comment there. Besides ushers, which any of you could talk about, what do you remember about going to the movies when you're young that you don't experience today, for better or for worse? I'll let Huck start on this one.
Ooh, that's really good. You know what? I'll just cut right to it. When I was younger, there was like this sort of like, I don't know if nostalgia is the right word, but there's this feeling that I got when I went into the cinema that was kind of like I was in a very special place. The smell of it with the popcorn, the type of rug with all the weird colors on it, going into the auditorium, the seats in the big, it was a communal experience. And so even at that young age, I could tell this is something that is going to be in my life. And it became even not just that, but I work in the business now because it spoke to me that much. And and then just sitting down and being with my mom or my friends or whoever and getting the popcorn and drink and just enjoying that stuff. I got to experience like the Pink Panther movies and James Bond. My first James Bond in the theater was For Your Eyes Only.
Yeah, mine too.
I mean, I'm sorry, The Spy Who Loved Me. Right?
Oh, okay.
With
Yeah,
Jaws, right? With Jaws. And I'm like, that could not have been a better.
yeah.
I mean, so there's just all that. And so now when I go in, it's just a theater. Like I don't, that feeling isn't there anymore. And it's because I think, like we're talking about, a lot of the people make it less special because they're talking, their conversations, they got the phones. But before, it's like you sat down and you were there for a movie. And, aside from kids crying, which is always going to be there, it was pretty special. That's what I remember.
Didn't you work as an usher?
Oh, I did everything. So I worked at my first job ever was at a drive-in theater. So I was box office and concession for that. And then that was just for the summer of my junior. And then after I graduated and became, after a senior, I went like fish. I worked at a fourplex and worked there for a couple of years as box office concession and, cleaned the auditoriums. We had a haunted theater, by the way. Like there was a lady who died in one of the theaters. And I swear to God, me and my buddy Jeff, we went in there and we were cleaning. And dude, if we didn't feel this instant rush, this cold air, waft over the two of us, and we literally dropped the popcorn. We're like, dude, we just ran out. It was like, I don't know what it was, but it was like the lady was there letting us know. I enjoyed the movie, but it scared the crap out of us. Yeah, that was very good.
Anybody else for early movie experience, good or bad, compared to what
I
we
do
have?
remember my first James Bond movie was For Your Eyes Only with the Sheena Easton
I
soundtrack.
love that. It's
Yeah.
my favorite.
I love that. But yeah, we had very small theaters near me. We didn't have the big multiplex or anything like that until I got almost out of high school.
Same.
But as a kid, it was just a little bitty theater. What I loved about it compared to now is all you got were like 3 trailers and then you got your movie. You didn't have all these commercials before the movie, and people weren't distracted because they didn't have any kind of gadgets back then. I don't know, like Huck said, it was like a magical experience. It was something special to go to the theater, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I loved it.
Mhm. Like you were
Yeah, I
giddy to
agree. I
sit
mean, for
down and
me,
go.
one of my early experiences was, Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, in the theater, which I absolutely loved. I wanted to see it multiple times, but I only got to see it once. And then, of course, probably one of the first big tentpole experiences was Terminator 2, Judgment Day, seeing that with my friends in this, small, theater in Hinesville, Georgia. And I mean, it wasn't like the multiplexes we have today, like Tony's saying, but it just felt more special. And because I didn't get to go to the theater often, it just meant more than it does going to theaters today. So it was really a special time.
Anything to chime in there, Fish?
Yeah, me, it was a little different. I lived out in the country, so it was special to actually come into the city, and it's only like 20 minutes, but come into the city, watch a movie, the experience. Mine more were movies by myself. I didn't have my grandparents raised me, so they really didn't want to go see what I wanted to see, so they'd go to another movie and I'd go to my movie, or they'd drop me off at the theater and then come back and pick me up. So my movie watching was more about me. So I was actually non-distracted because I had nobody else around me to talk to. I was just immersed in the show, in the movie. So my movie watching was a little different. I remember, they'd go up to the box office, buy my ticket, ask when the movie was over, and then come pick me up back up. I'd stay inside, wait for the car to pull up, and then go out. But yeah, different times. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You can't drop your 10-year-old off at the movies and
I still see it. I still see it. I still see it. They walk in, they already have their ticket. It's usually for a PG-13 movie or whatever.
Well, I was gonna say, and then this is the kicker. But you won't see them going in to see Nightmare on Elm Street 3 by themselves. Like this one here. So, but yeah, just different times. I really enjoyed going to the theater when I was a kid. But like I said, it was usually for myself, so I was just focused and enjoyed the beauty of it all.
For me, I remember. Oh, pardon?
Oh, I was just saying, what about you, KB?
For me, I still remember going to like the single or if it was fancy, the dual movie theaters. Then being in New York, it was a big deal to go into the city because those theaters were larger and they usually had some big billboards. Huck, you would appreciate this, right down there in Times Square. The side of a building was that Rocky poster that you have, minus the signature, but that was on the side of a building. So it was like larger than life. And then my aunt took my cousin and I to go see it. So not only were we seeing a movie in a big city theater, but we saw a movie that was rated R, but it was a re-release. So I thought it was interesting that they had that big poster for a re-release, but by then it was already, award-winning, Academy Award-winning and everything. And I just getting older, I enjoy the modern advances today with, every movie you can imagine in a multiplex. I live in AMC land because they are based here in Kansas City. So if there's a movie out, there's AMC nearby that's carrying it. And I enjoy being able to pick my seat and all that, but the experience of seeing something that's not necessarily a horror movie opening weekend or opening month sometimes with that crowd experience where everyone was anxious to see it, we don't have that anymore. I think horror fans experience that, but it's usually the Friday and the Saturday opening weekend. That's it. But after that, you don't have that excitement. You don't have that anticipation. We don't have ushers anymore. We don't have lobby cards and movie programs.
Oh,
I remember
love
buying
lobby cards.
Flash Gordon. I remember buying the program for that. We don't have those things anymore. You might get like how Mondo used to sell it at Alamo Draft House, but even that was something big. That was like an everyday thing for sure. Kitten Paws ads. I was standing in line for Empire for the first time. A friend came out and just finished and blurted
Oh
it
my
out.
God.
That's mean.
Becky,
Go hug that.
no.
That's awful.
I missed the rental store days. We're going to talk about that next. Going to pick up a movie was an event. Yes, sir. Friday night was a blockbuster, was a must. Yes, those Friday night hangouts. For Johnny, it was every night.
Yeah.
Waiting in line outside for the movie, no assigned seating. I don't miss that at all. I don't.
Same.
There is one theater here in Kansas City that I love going to that doesn't have assigned seats, but they also do other things that, we were just complaining about. There's no talking, there's no phones, no exceptions. So your phone goes off, you're talking, you're kicked out, you miss the rest of the movie. No
Is that the
returns, no
ArcLight?
refunds. Huh?
Is that the ArcLight? Is that the ArcLight, KB?
It's Screenland Armor. It's up in North
Okay.
Kansas City. That's where Panic Fest was, the film festival. I'll be going back there soon.
Yeah, ArcLight's been known to do that too.
Yeah, and same thing with Alamo Draft House. They do the same thing.
So one thing I don't like, I don't like the assigned seats that you do before you go, just for the fact that you're kind of stuck in that seat. If someone is distracting you, you can't just move around and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so like when I went and saw Oppenheimer, I had the guy right next to me on his phone the entire time. And I don't have the nerve that Huck has or whoever, but
dude, I just
played his game. He played a phone game the whole entire movie.
my God.
The whole movie is like 3 hours long.
3-hour movie.
Oh my Lord.
Oh man.
Look, wait, was this opening week? Because look,
Yeah,
if were there any seats available, you could have just moved. That
We need
dude
to bring back ushers. I'm
we
for
do.
that.
We need ushers.
Enforce
that
it.
guy.
Next time, I'm just gonna bring my baseball bat with me.
There you
Right?
go. Just tap it in your hand. Don't say a word. Silent enforcing.
The good thing about not having to wait in line, I love, like you guys said, KB and Fish, you don't miss that. But what I also don't miss is waiting in line to get the ticket, and right as you get to the window, they are sold out. And I'm like, God, and you wanted to see that movie so bad. You stood in line for an hour and you waited. It was cold maybe, and you get it, and it's just, that was a crushing blow, especially if it's like Empire Strikes Back. I'm like, no,
And then you got to wait for the next show, which
you got to wait for the next show.
Depending on the movie, you got a couple hours in front of you.
And then they walk out and blurt out the surprise.
Hit the arcade in the side room over there. They got
I remember me and Sonia went and saw Young Guns when it came out, and they oversold the theater, and so we had to stand up the entire and for the entire film. We had to stand up in the back to watch.
Standing room only for Young Guns.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was another bad memory.
Oh my God.
Couple more. Holland brings up the no, I read that one. Who remembers when movies actually had curtains? Yes. Greenland still has that. I'll try to post a picture tomorrow. They have like a little mechanical man on the side, and he moves and he makes that sound like the curtains are being pulled. And they, of course, it's an automatic curtain system, but the visual of the man moving makes it look like he's drawing the curtains and everything. It's a nice touch of nostalgia, but I do remember that because a lot of the theaters, a lot of the theaters in Brooklyn were RKO theaters, so they used to be vaudeville theaters, so they still had the curtains from when people would go up on stage to perform. It's just that instead of a stage for performance, it was for a movie now. What were you saying, Fish?
Yeah, no, my theater actually still had those, or still has those. They don't use them anymore, which is disappointing. In our big grand infinities, we have the balcony as well as below. And they had the curtains. Before the movie would come on, they'd close the curtains. They'd have a light show. If it was like Star Wars premiere, they would have a light show with Star Wars theme going. If it was an MCU, they'd have the Avengers theme going. but they'd have a light show, and then as the movie was starting, curtains open, and it was so cool just to
Nice.
see it go that. Yeah.
Curtains were
But
cool,
yeah,
man.
that's the only time I've ever actually experienced that, because a lot of the multiplexes I went to were newer, more modern, you know.
Yeah. We
Yeah, we
didn't
had
realize
friends
that
from
at the
Star
time they
Wars.
were showing us different aspects ratios by the amount of drawing of the curtains that they
Yeah,
were
the
doing.
curtain they showed you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it 4:3? Is it one of those new Fandangle 185 by ones? You didn't know. You didn't know. One more comment, then we'll move on. I still have a local drive-in and need to take the kids. You should definitely.
Yeah,
All
I
my
love
theaters are still
drive-in.
small, mom and pop, 2-screen places. Feel special. It is in today's multiplex mega marts. It is for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm loving this. I hope you guys are having a good time.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
Keep the comments coming. I see some new people popping in. I saw Timmy in there, so definitely get your comments and questions in. But we're gonna switch to an era, and I think this is the defining line, because every generation that came afterwards, by the time they were, I call it the movie age, that 10, 12, 14-year-old, where you started to pick the movies and you went with your friends, you took your bikes or you took the bus or whatever. I used to take the bus to the theater, but we're the generation that remembers when that was the only way we could see a movie. And then along came VHS and video rental stores. So with that in mind, just going around the horn, what were your first video store memories? Because I got mine down to like a story. I'll tell it quick. Got the VCR, and it was a Saturday, and it was the week that McDonald's introduced chicken nuggets. So we went to the local store, mom and pop video store, got the membership. You had to bring like a home bill or something like that. I had to take my mom because, need an adult to sign up. And we rented Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom and Romancing the Stone. Those are our first two rentals.
Great.
And I got a 20-piece chicken McNuggets back when they used to give you all the sauces plus mustard. They never asked you what you wanted. And that was the best day in life because I got to watch Indiana Jones more than once and Romancing the Stone and eat chicken nuggies, and it was great. So that's my story. I'm sure you have maybe not a story, but memories. So whoever wants to start, pick it up.
Yeah, I remember, my parents, we were in, Fort Stewart, Georgia, and actually Hinesville, but there was like a local mom and pop, store. This is before a Blockbuster, and we would, go there and get these big old, heaping mammoth VHS or Betamax machines.
Yep. Oh yeah,
rental machine.
They were huge back then, and I honestly, I was thinking before coming on here, I was like, what were the names of some of those movies? They were like old B movies or horror films. I don't even remember the names of the movies, but I just remember the experience of just enjoying watching those movies with my parents, and just the specialness of, we're able to enjoy these movies in the home and put the tape in and, replay it or what have you. So, but I wish I could remember some of those specific films, but it was definitely a pretty awesome experience.
Yeah, I had the same experience going into the mom and pop video store, renting the VHS because, it was when it first came out, we didn't have enough money to actually buy one ourselves, but you could rent it for the weekend or a couple days or whatever. And then, it was the very first time I ever saw Star Wars. We rented that and we rented Star Wars. So it was the very first time I ever saw Star Wars. It was fantastic. But I remember that video store having a back room, but it was not the traditional back room. It was an actual horror movie back room. So it was curtained off, but it was sketched out and like cobwebs and bats and skeletons and all kinds of stuff, but it had horror movies all back there. But it was really cool because I have not seen that since in a video store growing up, like a own room for horror. Now I've worked in a video store that had its own back room for those videos.
Right.
Talk about a red curtain.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, growing up, I just thought that was so cool that they had its own room. I remember walking by and I still to this day seeing so many VHS covers like I Spit on Your Grave and Last House on the Left, and I never rented them because couldn't, but I remember seeing the covers, going back there and stuff. But yeah, I remember renting the VHS player because we couldn't. It was the one that actually ejected out of the top.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just popped
They
out.
all did. They all the first ones did. Yeah.
Nice.
So, but yeah, that's I loved it. I loved it. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. I remember me and my twin brother, we actually worked to buy our first VCR, and we had this store that opened up near us that let you make payments on it. So we would pay and pay and pay. So we finally was finally able to buy the VCR, and our first one that we got, our church youth group had never seen Footloose before. So we rented Footloose and saw that, which was a good memory. We really enjoyed Footloose.
Yeah, it's kind of apropos too.
Exactly.
That's fun. Huck,
Yeah. Oh, so I'm gonna paint you a picture, y'all. Okay, ready? Now picture Best Buy, a store like Best Buy. Okay, this place was called New Generation. This was in Louisiana, and it was a big electronic store like that. You can get your VCRs and your TVs, but in the back they rented movies. That was the first section in there, and this is when laser did, but not the lasers. It's the kind that when you'd shove in and then pull a lever, then pull it back out. What were those called? It's like not quite a laser disc, but it was a laser disc inside, like VCD or something like that.
Yeah.
They had those. I mean, it was just like, as a movie lover, this was like heaven. I would go in there and just like, I wanted it all. Like, and so I remember the thing that really stood out was in that back corner were those big honking Warner Brothers clamshells, and specifically Superman the movie, Tony.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I eyeballed that, and I'm like, I mean, I saw that movie 7.5 times in the theater, and like it was my favorite movie ever. And so I just would rent that over and over. It's like, oh, it's like holding it felt like a privilege. You know, to take this home. And we were lucky enough to have a bit spoiled. We had a VCR, and then I even had one in my room. You know, good old Huck. I mean, I played movies all the time.
Nice.
And record them. Maybe we'll get to that later, and record them all the time. But so that's first experience. And then as I got a little older, we had some mom and pops nearby called Video Palace that I would eventually be employed at. And there were 4 stores, and I managed 3 of them because I could offer a movie suggestion almost at 100% satisfaction rating. And
like
so and I love it. So working there was like, you know, and you know, taking care of them. I was like the curator, caring for these movies, making sure they were rewound, making sure they were right back where they need to be so everybody could find them. So that's my whole, I mean, VHS and video stores was huge part of my growing up.
I know next week we have pretty much everyone on next week's panel has spent some time working in a video store. Anyone else here work in a video store besides? Okay, all but James. Tell us a quick video store story, Tony.
I don't really have many. I don't really remember many stories, but I do remember just loving being there in the middle of all that. I worked at a store called Video Country, and they had little bitty stores throughout the little area that we lived in. So I would go from store to store and store to kind of train the new people. But I don't know. I just love having all those videotapes near me, and getting to recommend to customers. You know, because they always wanted to know what your recommendations were.
The good old days, man.
It was fun. I miss it. I'd go work at one now if we had one available.
Me too.
See, Tony? Yeah.
Mine was the one I worked in was in North Carolina, and they didn't put the movies out behind boxes. They put little cards out in front. You know, like the old school, like
we had
bring me the card. I got a number. I got to go find it back there. That's how this video was still in the 90s, but they had started at the beginning to transition to DVD. So I went from VHS into transitioning to the DVD format while working at the video store, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. For me, I worked at one in college. I also worked at a record store, which was the best. I'm just a music freak. But the video store was the front end, and the back end was a TV and electronics repair shop. So they didn't really need a storefront. So they changed the storefront to a video rental place. And everyone came on nights and weekends. But I was a college kid, so I had time in the day. So no one came in the daytime. Everybody was at work. It was pretty much a commuter town. So everyone was taking the train to go into the city. So it was just like local college kids would come in. I'm telling you, I watched so many movies. I have forgotten more movies that I watched in that place than I remember. And then when I was engaged and I was living in Jersey at the time, I worked in a local store just because I could name movies from the spine. I would look at the spine on the VHS and be like, "Oh, you do have Evil Dead 2." He's like, "Oh, where do you see it?" I'm like, "Right here. It's out of place," because they used to keep it alphabetical. And it was like, "How do you know that?" I was like, I just know the spine. She was like, "Need a job?" I was like, "Sure." So that was like my side hustle for a while there. But yeah, there was something unique. Not only like some people are saying in the comments about going to the video store on a Friday night, or if you have a date or what have you, but like the real heads, we knew to go on the day that the rentals drop, because you wanted to get it first before anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you all a very important VHS question, so especially for those of us who work there. And James, I don't know if you dabbled, but one of the important things you needed to do as an employee is you needed to be able to take apart a VHS should the tape have been munched, and be able to cut the tape, splice it back together, and put it back in the case. And I could take apart a case, disassemble every piece in it, and put it back together in less than 1 minute.
It prepared you for your future.
We never did that.
You didn't do that? Oh my God. I took such pride when they handed it to me and go, "Can you fix that?" I'm like, "Yes, I can."
Yeah. Since we were a repair shop, that was like the easiest thing for them to teach me. So like because people would bring in machines with stuck videotapes all the time. And we would just say, did a kid do it? Is there peanut butter in there? Whatever. I was coming to work and they would just have a stack of VCRs there, because it was like the one easy thing I could do. So I would pop out the tape. If it was popped, I would have to take the tape case apart, start with the flip up top and all that, and then splice it back together like Huck said. But most of the time it was just getting the tape out. I'm like, dude, this is so easy. You just got to remove the cover and pop the spring so it, front loads, or like Fish was saying, that it pops up. But yeah, I do miss video store days.
Nice.
Let's go back quickly to the chat here. A couple of comments. I'm just going to fly through some of these. Yes, analog is always going to be the best. Same thing with vinyl. Yeah. Also expensive. You think steelbooks are expensive? Get into some 180 gram vinyl albums. And you remember going to movies with intermission. I remember Mary Poppins. I think
our Star Wars had an intermission. Star Wars
really
had an intermission. Oh, dude! When that curtain, and we have the curtain too. When that curtain goes, I was like, "Oh, dude!" Like everyone
like
hauled ass to get more and get right back. That was amazing.
I remember the last movie I seen with an intermission was Hateful Eight, when when Tarantino had the road show. And I met a buddy there that I used to work with. We haven't seen each other in like almost 10 years. I was like, "Come on, let's go see Tarantino's new one." And they had he tried to do it old school with the program books and everything.
Oh,
and
sweet.
when the curtains close for intermission, of course they don't tell you, it just closes. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I remember this from when I was a kid." The only difference is now I'm like, "Well, let's go hit the bar and get a drink. We got 10 minutes or whatever it was."
Nice.
And then we could talk about the first half of the movie at the bar, and then go back in, take our drinks with us, modern day theater, and watch the second half of the movie. It was a unique experience to be modern day, but have that old school nostalgia with it at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should do that for Killers of the Flower Moon, Avatar, like really long movies. They should do that.
I
actually thought they were going to.
I saw the last two Scorsese movies in the theater, and they were hella long.
Yes.
So long. Irishman and Killers of the Flower Moon. So long.
Yeah.
First movie that I saw was Lion King when I was young. First rated R. We're going to talk about rated R movies in a minute. When I was 10 years old, it was Gladiator. Wow. For a 10-year-old, that's amazing. I remember when they used to ask if you're old enough to see a movie.
Yeah.
Quick story. So when I got into teenage years, I had a multiplex that used to be a vaudeville theater. So the four main movies were like Universal movies. I don't know what they were, but like PG-13, they were in the front. And then they kept the rated R one for the side entrance, which was a separate theater. And I remember they wouldn't let me into RoboCop, and they actually, and then this was the other thing that they would ask you. Johnny has it right here. Where is your guardian?
Guardian.
I am not bringing my guardian to see RoboCop. Oh my gosh!
My guardian dropped me off.
Early bootlegger.
Yeah.
Okay. Big Chris brings up an important question. I think this was only New York. Do you guys know what WHT is?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, what is that?
So we had like it was supposed to be like an alternative to cable. So picture like Max today. So they have their own collection of movies. They used to send out a little schedule at the beginning of the month so you know what was on. Only one channel, but they would show new movies every Saturday the way HBO used to. And as kids, that was the way some of us would get to see a rated R movie because, you know, your parents go to sleep early, whatever, and you're there watching Clash of the Titans because your friend at school told you about one specific scene or something like that. So it was like a closed circuit cable alternative. But yes, WHT, New York City.
Okay.
Bonnie says my first movie I remember going to is Yellow Submarine, the Beatles. Yes, everybody would scream their head off. Beatlemania. Yes, I love it. I love hearing these stories.
Nice.
I love how movies were re-released when we were younger. I saw Rear Window and Vertigo. A lot of Disney movies.
A lot of Disney movies. Yeah, most of my childhood it was re-released Disney movies, like The Rescuers, Oliver and Company, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I remember watching this in the theater, and originally it was released as rated R, but it was so popular with the soundtrack. Same thing. Grease came in right afterwards with the same formula. You know,
Grease.
Make them fall in love with the soundtrack. Release the movie afterwards. Let them keep coming back to the movies. But we couldn't see this because this was rated R. Right. And when they re-released it, they re-edited it to be PG. We didn't have PG-13 back then. We're also the generation that knows everything before PG-13. But
we had gritty PG.
Yeah. We had violent movies like Jaws being PG.
Right?
Poltergeist.
Yeah, that was one of the last ones that were borderline. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. When we couldn't get into a rated R movie, people today wouldn't understand that. Physical tickets. Some places still do it.
Yeah, like I still have my collection of tickets.
I used to keep mine. I've got a stack of them somewhere, but oh my gosh, I used to have this. Yeah, it's a little plastic baggie. Just throw them in there.
Yep.
I know Steelbook Obsessed. He'll, you know, if you have an app for whatever multiplex theater you go to, you could also sometimes go to the machine and get the printout of the ticket.
Right.
So what he'll do is he'll get a ticket for whatever movie he sees. And then when he gets the physical, he kind of tucks the ticket inside the physical media release, which is really cool. I like that. Couple more and we'll continue. My local theater oversold for Spider-Man No Way Home, and people stood the whole time.
Crazy.
Oh, man.
No way. Not today.
Man, that price? Standing?
Yeah.
No. It's like
I paid to sit.
That's right.
Theaters, I paid to sit. So Johnny has a good conversation question here for us. Have any of you snuck into a movie? Not old enough to see it, but snuck into it anyway. Fish got one.
Fish.
We went and saw Now and Then.
And
then we snuck into 7.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. That was talk about 2 different movies.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like Barbenheimer. Now and Then and 7.
Anybody else want to catch up to doing that?
I never did.
James,
I feel like I probably did.
Like, no, never did.
Yeah. I can't remember one specifically. I feel like I exited those exits more than I snuck into them.
Yeah.
I was too much of a goody two-shoe.
I was tall from a young age. And I remember when DC Cab was coming out, and I was so excited to see it because I was such a Mr. T fan. A-Team, Rocky 3. Well, this was before Rocky 3. And I went to the theater. My mom dropped me off. and I didn't know that it was a rated R movie. So I just went up to the ticket booth and I said, one for DC Cab. And it was right when my voice started to change and everything. And they gave me the ticket. And I remember walking past, it was a bright yellow poster. I remember all this. And you know how they used to have like the ratings were a lot bigger when we were younger?
Yeah.
Or maybe our eyes were better. I don't know. I walked past and I just saw that R inside the square. And it froze me in my tracks because I thought the usher was like not going to let me, like, you know, they would rip the ticket or whatever. So I was like, and I was like, he's like, here's you. I was like, and I said,
Are you sure?
For the movie.
Oh no!
I was just so overwhelmed that I got in. I didn't even enjoy the movie.
Just looking over your shoulder the whole time, waiting.
Yeah, looking for the usher.
Now I have an alternative to sneaking in. It was accidentally going into the wrong theater. Like I thought I was going into. I don't even know what it was I was supposed to be into, but I very much remember it was The Jerk with Steve Martin. I'm a big Steve Martin fan. Like I had his album stuff, and I was listening to his albums, which were very, you know, explicit, but I wasn't old enough to be in there, and I kind of panicked, you know, because like I wasn't as tall as KB, so I was like 5 foot nothing, and so I kind of panicked and went out. But I told my mom, I have to see The Jerk. Can you please bring me to go see The Jerk? And so she did. You know, that was a weird thing to say with your mom, but it was fine.
Yeah, I took my 17-year-old niece the other day to see Poor Things. That's all I'll say. And if you've seen it, you'll understand the pause in my voice. But yeah, a couple more comments talking about Fish with the cassette player in the theater. Yeah, Chris says that was the pause tape back in the day. Yeah. Susan says Daddy Blu-ray and I snuck into Steel Magnolias to meet up with Mama Blu-ray when we finished Little Mermaid. Yeah,
I've done that. My movie finished before my cousin's movie did, so I left that and finished up.
Yeah, we did.
I was watching Body of Evidence with Madonna and Willem Dafoe, and I left that and snuck in and sat down with them and finished Nowhere to Run, I believe is.
Yeah. The Van Damme movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, movie hopping. I come to think of it, I did do some movie hopping.
Do you remember popcorn shakers? Apparently some theaters charge for it now. They're a lot more diverse too. You know, they got the garlic parmesan, and I think the only thing we had was like cheddar, and that was like a big deal. We got Killa in the house. What's up, Mel? Thank you, everyone, for leaving these comments. I know it's taken a while for me to catch up to them, but it's all good. Talking about the change in the ratio. Galaxy Quest changes 3 times. Drove projection is crazy. You just open up to the largest one and just let it go that way. That's the best thing. We've got a new one here. I'm 49 years old. My very first horror movie was The Howling with my dad.
Oh, wow. Nice.
That's a horror fan for life right there. Wow.
I still need to see that for sure.
Good. It's good. Just 80s cheesy goodness. That's the other thing. Movies today don't have that
practical effects.
How did Susan say that Velveeta goodness?
That's a Velveeta goodness.
I kind of
they don't make them like they used to. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's what we old people say.
That's right. Back in our day, we had Velveeta.
We had real cheese.
That's right. We had real cheese.
Our video store rentals didn't come from a store. A couple ran the business from their house. Interesting. They had videotapes up and down their stairs and in all the rooms until they got their store. That is amazing. Wow.
That's dedication. That's dedication.
That's trusting.
Yeah. How do you organize that? Horrors in the dining room.
They're still missing children in that. They're still missing children in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
She's like, "Where's my purse?"
Oh man. So we spoke about VHS. We spoke about video stores and everything. One thing else I was going to talk about here. And once again, thank you everyone popping in the chat. I see some new people still coming in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is going good. We'll probably go like another 20 minutes and land a plane. But so we're all physical media collectors. in some way, form, or fashion. Did you ever imagine? We remember the transition from the video rentals being too expensive to buy to being where you could get, and I know Tony and I shared this before, the Bond collection or the Star Wars tapes or the Disney clamshells for your kids. Even then, when we were collecting in those early days, and we didn't call it collecting, we were just buying our favorites. Could you ever even imagine like this?
Oh, I can imagine.
I know the biggest thing for me was someone said it earlier in the chat, I was a comic book fan as well. And I always dreamt that one day we would get, albeit a rated R movie, it had to be rated R in my eyes, and an uncanny X-Men movie. And we got several X-Men movies, but I think the closest thing to what I imagined it being was when Logan came out.
Logan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is actually based on a graphic novel called Old Man Logan. But that's the way I wanted to see like the X-Men comic books come to life. No idea that MCU would come about and all that stuff. So I know people have fatigue and all that stuff, the shows. But to me, as a comic book fan, every time I see it, I even have fatigue. I don't watch all the shows and movies anymore. But it's still like my childhood come to life. Do you have any examples of like your movie thoughts when you were younger as a kid, teenager, and now seeing it come to fruition in modern day?
Yeah, I mean, you raise a good point with the comic books because I collected Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, and X-Men, Avengers, Superman, Batman, World's Finest, comic books in the 80s, and so at that time I couldn't have ever imagined in my wildest dreams ever seeing the Avengers on screen, and so I got to experience it with my son who's now 15. He loves the MCU, but for me it's a little bit different. When I saw the Avengers, the first Avengers movie, and that scene when the battle is going on in New York, and you see that money shot where you see Captain America, Iron Man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting in the theater. I'm a grown man, and I'm about to cry because I'm like,
yes, sir.
Book heroes, and my son's there. It's a different thing for him because he didn't, collect comic books or whatever. But for me, I'm like seeing my heroes from when I was a kid on screen that I never thought I would see, and that was incredible. And of course, now the MCU is kind of like, a shadow of what it once was. But that was an epic time, and then leading all the way up through Endgame. Man, what a ride. I don't know if they'll ever be able to recapture that magic, but that was that was a once in a lifetime run. That whole MCU experience, that 20 films going through Endgame was incredible.
Just the way that they led up to the Avengers when we had all the little side movies. Iron Man, the Incredible Hulk, all that stuff. To me, that was amazing. And then we saw the Avengers, so that was amazing. And then they just started oversaturating. And we kind of got burned out on it.
Yes.
But I'm with James. I loved all of that. And we got to enjoy that with our kids, just the magic of it. But they just kind of ruined it.
Yeah. My son's birthday is right around May, the beginning of May. So it was kind of like an annual thing. His birthday fell in line with that. Beginning of the summer Marvel movie, and then after a while they started releasing at different times of the year and just fell off.
I'm with you. I feel. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chuck.
No, Fish. Go ahead.
I was going to say real quick, that's exactly how it is for me. I grew up a comic book kid too. X-Men were my favorite comic books. And then when I actually got to see the X-Men animated series, I was like, oh, well, that's cool. That's cool. All right. And then a few years later, the Bryan Singer movies came out, and I got to see Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, perfect. Nobody else, But I just thought that was so awesome because I grew up with Superman, and then later on, Batman '89 came out. So, the superheroes were few and far between, but what we did have was fantastic. They built a world in just like one film that it just so impactful. I said this before. The very first Superman movie made you believe a man could fly. It was fantastic. I remember seeing Batman '89 in the theater, and it just Gotham being Gotham, dark and gritty, and Tim Burton's vision. It was fantastic. But yeah, seeing our comic book heroes come to life is one of my favorite things that's happened.
I think you teed me up perfect, Fish. That was exactly what I needed. Yeah, I mean, to echo James, KB, Tony, everything you said about that Avengers movie, that when that came, it was like, because that was one of my most collected titles as a comic book lover. As I love the Avengers, because as I started losing money and you had to whittle down how many you could buy, I always held on to the group titles because you got more superheroes. So it was Avengers and Justice League were the last two things I ever collected, because it was the teams of both franchises, right? But to roll it back it was all about that moment watching Christopher Reeve, who thankfully wasn't a big name. So when you look at him, you see Superman. You don't see, a famous movie star. You see Superman. And I mean, every time I went in, and this is like, and you really had to work at making people believe a man could fly with the rig and him landing and taking off and they call it the verisimilitude, that reality that Donner and Chris said, okay, everyone else might be a little goofy, but I'm going to play Clark and Superman straight. And he is, he is sort of the most straight character play. I mean, Clark is kind of buffoony, right? But Superman is not played for laughs. He is played for keeps. And just everything about that I bought. And when it rolled into Superman 2, I was so excited because here's three villains and he gets to fight people who are as good as him. And then sadly, like loving it so much and getting 3 and 4 as my finales for Chris wasn't the best. But
I mean, to this day, I'll always remember Terrence Stamp. Terrence Stamp will always be General Zod. No matter what
before Zod.
See him in, he is always kneel before
Zod. I mean, and Gene Hackman as Lex was so good, just chewing up those scenes. Yeah, and then the scene when
Lois Lane, I mean, no one's done better,
Yeah, I was going to say, the Superman that we had seen before that was the cartoon, or we saw George Reeves, which looked like an old man to me when I was a kid.
He did.
It was in black and white, and it just didn't cut it for me. So when we saw Christopher Reeve as Superman, it was amazing.
For sure.
And I still think his performance is what everyone's performance today is grateful for. Like if he wasn't so good, I don't think we'd ever have a shot at superheroes today.
But when you saw The Flash this past year, did you get choked up a little bit when you saw that at the end?
Well, here's the thing. I loved seeing him in it, but at the same time, it was sort of a CG version of him.
Yeah, exactly.
When there's so much footage of Chris, you could have just rotoscoped Chris out of any of the movies he was in, just standing there looking heroic, and it would have been Chris. That would have touched me a little bit more than seeing a slightly waxy CG interpretation, but I was very happy to see it.
Especially with all the extra footage that they had for 1 and 2. I mean, Donner had enough footage to re-edit too. And still have stuff left on the floor, so they could easily pull something from there. Good conversation on this one. Going to get back to the chats, and then we'll finish with our last topic of the evening. Susan still hasn't seen Footloose. You're gonna love
coming out on 4K.
Yeah. Johnny got the joke there. Thank you. Thanks, sis. Don't forget to kill that like button for your fam. We got Pops in the house. What's up, Alan? Thanks for joining us. He'll be on next week. Huck Rockefeller up there bragging about his 2 weeks.
Right? How many you guys got? I got 2.
He's like, you got 2 TVs. You must be
I didn't have Betamax. I did have VHS.
Going to the rental store on a Friday was a Friday night staple. We just opened one in our city. Huge grand opening. That's cool. I like to see that stuff coming back. Been loving seeing the love of physical media and people stopping by to rent movies. That's
awesome.
So cool.
I want to try that idea where people come to my house and they can just.
we have a follow up on that. We have a follow up.
I'm gonna make some money.
You could, Tony. You could.
Hey, all those doubles. might as well crack them open and make some money, man.
Yeah.
Susan says, I wish I worked at a video store. It was so much fun.
It's
It really
so
was.
good. It's one of my favorite memories.
What's up, Patrick? Jersey in the house. Allie at it. I always wanted to work at Blockbuster, but by the time I was old enough, video stores were on their way out. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for the most part, you know, like Mika said, they're slowly coming back. I'm liking these stories that I'm seeing like on Reddit and different forums where people are getting back into physical media collecting, and they're buying sets, or they might be buying someone else's collection, or hitting like a Goodwill, or, you know, loading up on a Black Friday and just getting back to it. We got the Cholo in the house. What's up, Benicio?
Oh, man.
Gone with the win intermission.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
One.
My aunt took me to see that. Hateful Eight and 70mm was amazing. Yes, it was.
It was, yeah.
Jodo in the house. What's up, brother?
Hey, Jodo.
Saying hello to everyone in the panel and in the chat. We would sometimes get older teens to buy us tickets. It's like how the kids used to stand outside to get beer. Oh my gosh. We were sneaking after our film ended.
You go, Mika.
Not going to see Police Academy.
Yeah.
Talking about WHT, it was available by antenna on your roof, and I always remember the box. My mom caught and made me get rid of it.
Oh.
I didn't want to be watching that porn. It had like soft, like what we used to call
Skinamax.
Yeah.
So like Lady Chatterley.
Yeah, Lady Chatterley.
Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember sneaking into a showing of Cold Mountain right at the scene where they were torturing the guy. Still never seen that movie. You should. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. You should check out the whole thing. Talked my older sister into taking me to see The Girl with Dragon Tattoo when I was 17. She was 22. She was the one that was horrified by it. If she saw the original one, she'd really be horrified. The remake was okay though. Here's a follow-up on the house renting the VCR tapes. I think the couple ran the business, gave all the members a printed list of all the titles they had, and you would ask for the title at their doorstep. You did not go in. Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Taking notes. Okay.
They had a racket.
Yeah.
Write it down, Tony. Write it down.
Yeah.
Talking about the franchises and the superheroes, Johnny adds the Infinity Saga is probably the greatest collection of comic book films. They should have just repeated that formula, like you said, Tony. You know, introduce different characters, bring them together, bring back some of the original characters. But by the time they got through Infinity and Endgame, it was kind of like, time to put a bow on it.
You're right.
Yeah.
Give us like a 10-year hiatus. Let us break from it. But no, they wanted that money.
Yeah. Too much for a period of time. This I brought up just for that last line. The nerds actually won something. So Revenge of the Nerds reference there. I love it. Sarah says, I do comics and cards, Barbie hats. I'm a collector, and my family do a bunch of movies now since 2002 when she was 19.
Hey, dope. Sarah.
Nice.
Kitten Paws. I read The Lord of the Rings multiple times as a kid. Then the movie came out. When I saw The Hobbit on for the first time, I was blown away.
Yes.
Exactly what I thought it would look like as a kid. Me too.
That was our first movie together. I took Becky.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what I brought her to, and that was our first movie. And that's me. I knew I was in love because she loved it.
And finally, Tiger Blue has our transition to our last topic of the night. I'm gonna get everyone to do confessionals here. My dad got a hold of a bootleg videotape of E.T. not long after it came out in cinema. Me and my friends watched it a lot. We kind of alluded to this, you know, who would get the blank videotapes, set it at the SP or the LP speed, and record out of 2 hours or 6 hours, either off of HBO, or if you had the dual, you would go, you know, rent a tape to blank tape. Who did it and what did they do? I'll start with Huck.
Oh my God, I was terrible at that, y'all. Yeah, we had buddies. We all had and I had the cable, so you'd hook the two together, and if there was a copy guard on it, we had a thing that would break that copy guard. And we would make each other copies all the time. But I remember before the copy, though, speaking of bootlegs, is somebody showed up and this holy grail of a horrible tape. It was Return of the Jedi. and it was awful. Like, I don't know how they shot it, like it was in the theater or something, but it looked like it was 5 generations old on EP speed. But good Lord, we all had to have a copy of it until the better one came out.
Yeah.
So we watched that bootleg to death. But yeah, I was a big fan. Like, that's how I sort of collected back in the day before things became. Remember, the 1999 was the golden price. Once things started to come out at the sell-through price for $20, that's what they kept calling it.
Lost leaders.
Yeah, and yet
2 names.
And somehow that has remained the price since.
If you think about it, yeah,
$20 is like the sell-through price. Still, really.
I saw a receipt when I was moving. I saw a receipt that I had from funny enough, from Best Buy, and the ink was still on it. It was a DVD. It was a 2-disc DVD special edition, and it was $25. And I'm like, for all the complaining we do about the prices, I mean, we got Steelbooks 40 and up now, but for a regular studio release, you know, first couple of weeks out, $25 is pretty close to what we'd pay today for a studio release. So if you think about it, after all these generations of formats and everything, we're still playing around with the same price.
Pretty much.
Those lost leaders, you know, those, like I said before, the James Bond individuals, the Star Wars individuals,
and
VHS, all the way up to 4K today. It's pretty much a $5 difference. With the rate of inflation being what it is, it's kind of amazing. It's all about perspective. Who else has a confessional? Bootleg videotapes.
Come on, join me. Come on.
I never did the rental bootlegs, but HBO or, you know, Cinemax or, you know, whatever, Showtime or whatever movie channel we just happened to have, or was giving away a free preview that summer.
Free preview weekend.
Just as many as you could, and that.
He's come back. He's come back.
Coming back. I see.
This dialogue was so good. The internet couldn't handle it.
See, the FBI called up with you. That's why you're confessional.
That's what I did. That was my bootlegs because you know, you could we didn't have like the premium movie channel, so whenever they would do a free preview, I jumped on that puppy as much as I could. Yeah.
And most of ours were TV shows though, because we were just big TV watchers, and so we would just record show after show after show. I'm thankful that I still have a majority of all my VHS tapes. But
do you?
Great. And same way with I still have all my cassette tapes too. I have hundreds of cassette tapes. One of these days those things will come back. They got to.
Oh, I wish I still had some of those things I got rid of.
I still
I recorded a lot as well, like, you know, HBO, different shows, you know, football games, the movies on HBO, or what
NBA All-Star Weekend.
And there was that little, you know, if you wanted to make sure it didn't get overwritten, there was that little tab on the back. You just break the little tab on the back.
Oh yeah,
you can reuse it if you put a little piece of tape on it, and you can do it again.
We all know.
It's like, you know, as much as I love DVD, you know, you really couldn't do that with DVD. That's something you could do with VHS that you couldn't do with DVD, is that recording piece, you know.
But James, wasn't that the moment when you decided this is worth saving? Snap, and you snap it off because it was worth losing that tab.
That's right.
You know, you filled out your little sticker and put it on the top, put one on the side, had your movies all, you know.
All right, can I super nerd out on you now? I would actually get the font. Like, I recorded the Flash TV show, and I got the font off, you know, a comic book, and I photocopied it onto the labels of a VHS label sheet, and I put it on all of my hand. Right. It looks so good. It looked like a store-bought Flash.
Just going back to what Tony was talking about a moment ago, I remember talking about recording TV shows off of the TV. I remember when I got the VHS version of this, and I was like so happy because I didn't have to like watch those bootleg shows. I had the VHS set, and then I never converted to DVD until when I saw this one day, and I was like, this was one of my favorite shows growing up. New Yorkers out there remember WPIX channel 11 always had this on at night. So And everybody had their favorite shows.
Syndication, I love it.
Bewitched, yeah.
Yes, I want that.
With the two Darrens,
The
Yeah,
two
yeah,
Darrens.
yeah.
But
It
see,
was
isn't
kinda
that funny?
Aunt
Like,
Viv. It was Aunt Viv before Aunt Viv.
but see, that's what I love, KB, is you recorded that first on VHS, probably EP speed, so you get the most episodes per cassette. And now you've got that. Like, that's what I did with Star Trek. When that came out, they released that on VHS, the whole series. That's one of the few that came out completely on VHS. And I would put all those on EP so I could have them all. And now, of course, I've bought every format and I own the best possible quality of my favorite show.
Yeah.
Man, that's where it's all at right there.
Plus all those commercials too, because there would be times where we would skip over, but I'm glad I still have some of those retro commercials.
They're nostalgic.
Those are great.
It's crazy. I will jump on YouTube and just watch some commercials from the 60s or the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Some reason. I don't know why. Just
they're fun.
Hit me in the feels with those old Toys R Us commercials and
I remember when
TV show like this here, I Love Lucy.
Oh,
my wife has them all.
2 seasons of this on Blu-ray, and they do have a feature where you can see those old commercials that were broadcast back then, and of course,
because they used to do it right there on set.
Because they did a lot of cigarette commercials back then.
Right.
Yeah.
And you get commercials that could not be aired today, anymore. But you sort of get a perspective of, oh, okay, that's interesting,
Yep.
Remember when Fred and Barney were smoking cigarettes, promoting that? I seriously look for that on YouTube. Fred and Barney are puffing on Winstons or something. I was like, wow.
A different day,
Yes, sir.
That's why so many 9-year-olds are smoking back in our day.
Right.
Oh, come on now. They started off with candy cigarettes. What do they expect us to do?
I did have those.
Right. They taught us right. Couple of comments and then we'll land this plane here. So the Infinite character is a very interesting human being. I'm assuming they're human. So what year was the golden era of cinema in your opinion? I don't know. It's kind of hard to determine that because cinema kind of ranges like theater and all that. I don't know. I started in 70 and going forward, I really think for my generation, for our generation, it has to be the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be the 80s,
That's
whether it's
80s
television or movies. It's everything 80s, horror, sci-fi.
Yeah, horror, sci-fi, comedies.
Comedy.
It
We're
was
gonna
like
talk more about comedies next week.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Quick question for you all. Are you looking forward to the new Superman movies next year and Joker 2 this year? Yeah.
I'm always looking forward to another Superman movie.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I hope they do it right. I'm looking forward to them doing it right. And I have, as far as Superman, the one thing I've wanted them to do for a long time is I felt like I love that character. I just need them to scale the power down a little.
Yeah.
Make him a little bit more, not a god. Bring him down a little bit. He can be super, but not able to move.
Well, see, that's why it was always good, like Lois and Clark on TV, like Dean Cain. You could only do so much with your effects budget, so he wasn't that powerful, and that was kind of refreshing to see that.
Yeah.
Can't just lift a planet and take off.
Right.
Jeff says we had a rental store locally until June of 2020, bought by some young people that didn't care to pivot. I believe the business was a gift. Would love to see them come back. Yeah, I look when I drive by like old neighborhoods and I see where a Blockbuster was, or I would go back to my neighborhood in Brooklyn and know exactly where that mom and pop video store was. It's kind of hard now. It really is.
Oh yeah.
4 favorite films. They've all answered this. They've actually added one more. So if you go back, Huck did a conversation. James did 1.5 conversations. Fish has been on. Mr. Tony gave me the pleasure of coming on early. So they've all been on there. Check out their conversations. They're all in the archives.
They're fun.
Same thing with this. Underrated films in your collection. That was answered as well. Just trying to land a plane, not trying to disrespect anyone here. Going back to Fish's little incident there, you can't tell the secrets of the booth.
Uh-oh, timestamp.
Yeah, I did see this. I as far as cassette tapes making a comeback, you have a lot of artists who will release like a special edition that comes with a cassette of like 1 or 2 singles, like singles, as we used to
Yeah,
call
we used
them.
to do those. You used to get those little 2-song.
Yeah, the cassette singles.
Yeah.
With the little slip.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of like that Shout was doing that. Shout Scream was doing that with the John Carpenter. I know, Tony, you have those, the black box sets where they would put the 45 in there with like a song or two. That's kind of like a throwback too, to the time when they would release a 45 or they'd release a cassette single before the full album came out. So definitely remember those days. Last comments here as we finish this up for tonight. Don't want to keep anybody too long. Thank you once again, everyone, for checking in and for just joining us and participating in the live stream, in the chat, watching replay, lurking. Gotta shout out my lurkers out there. All love. Let's see. I'm just going to freestyle through these last comments and then land the plane. As I'm doing that, just to look forward, once again, we're going to have our second part to the 80s cinema, the Gen X cinema, where we're going to have a different group of guests, and we'll go through and have different questions, and it'd be fun. I saw my man brother Dell come in. What's going on,
Dell?
man? He'll be on next week.
Be on the next one, Dell.
Yes, sir. Okay, Infinite Character is human, confirmed. Yeah, this is the comment that got me. I was there with my little ballpoint big pen trying to imitate the font. No, Huck was like, forget that. Where's the photocopier? I'm just
no. You use tracing paper so you can trace the font perfectly. Then you pin it in, then you photocopy that, and then you line it up on every little label on the sheet. Print it.
We got Kenny Levels in the house.
Hey, Ken.
Thanks for showing up.
Huck must have had all that extra time when I was out working.
I did.
Tony was like that old In Living Color skit where he was like, I have 4 jobs, man.
I have 4 jobs. Oh my God.
I have 8 jobs.
That's right.
I love that sketch.
Love that. Pops adds in, great stream, guys. Looking forward to being on the next one. So
thanks,
everyone.
Pop.
It'll probably be around the same time next week. Let's see. Yeah, because Floyd House Flicks is on the West Coast. So probably like around the 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time. I think that works well for everyone. We got Steve in the house saying, hey.
Hey, Steve.
Thanks for joining us. If you've been lurking, welcome. But if not, catch a replay. We're about to land this. Laren says, this was so much fun. It was. I hope everyone had a good time. Everyone on the panel, everyone in the chat and watching it live. For anyone who's concerned, Michigan is still up by 7 points with about 10 minutes left in the fourth. Culture Trini in the house. Salute my dude.
Trini.
Got the fitted Yankee on as always. Love to see it. Thanks for stopping in. Always good to see you, my man. Caveman saying thanks for to us. And I like this. Thank you, Allie. Looking forward to the next one as well.
Thanks, Allie.
Thank you, Allie.
Thank you, you guys. Thank you for doing this. This went exactly the way I envisioned it. Just to get the conversations going, just to get those feelings of nostalgia going. I know sometimes, just being out there is like, nah, nobody remembers what it was like, And then you come up and you start talking about popping the tabs on a VHS tape. I'm like, my people. I'm amongst friends. I'm amongst fellow men. So, yes, this was fun for sure. Thank you for the check-in. There's Infinite Character. We get to see his face now. Yeah, like I said, next Wednesday we will have another one. If you guys have anything coming up, please let the people know, starting with the Huckster.
First, KB, thank you so much for having us on. Yeah, this was so much fun. Like you said, this is all like-minded people. I mean, good Lord, Fish, you recorded stuff on audio like me. How? there wasn't just me. You feel like you're the only person doing these weird things.
Mm-hmm.
But this was great, and you've certainly given me ammunition when I have a party around here with my friends. We're going to do the same thing and see if any of them light up like we did here.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, the only thing is tomorrow morning I got my morning mug with a brand new intro. So tune in and check it out.
Oh yeah. I got a see if you notice I haven't been there is because my weekly team meeting is right at the beginning. And then usually what happens is we get into either editing or side meetings afterwards, and I'm like, oh, I missed the morning mug again.
No.
But I'll try to hop in there for sure. At least maybe have it on in the background, off my phone or something. James, what's going on, brother?
Oh man, I really had a lot of fun, KB. This was awesome. Thanks for having me on here. Really enjoyed everybody tonight, and just a lot of fun. Just revisiting these memories, just sort of going back in memory lane a little bit. So sort of, it's nice. Really enjoyed it. Later this week on my channel, of course, we're in January, and Criterion's got a couple of titles coming out here with the 4K of Blood Simple. So one of my top 3 Coen Brothers films. I'll share some thoughts on the new 4K of Blood Simple, and so looking forward to that, and just excited to get another year started. So
yeah,
thanks again for having me. I really had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, man.
The 80s rock.
That's right. We're 80s kids. There we go. 80s kids.
Okay.
Mr. Tony, what's going on?
Yep. So you can find me over at Basement Blues. I do have a video out every single day. I did do a recent basement tour last week. So if you'd like to see more of the collection, you can definitely check that out. And I really had a good time. Thanks for letting me be a part of this.
I got the notification, and as soon as I saw the title, I told my wife, pop some popcorn. Tony did a long video, and we sat. I'm not making jokes. I am not kidding. She could confirm if she was here. We sat and we watched the whole thing, and it's funny because we've had conversations off air, and I know about the 2 rooms and everything. And every time someone, especially after your conversation, people would ask me, "What's the other room like?" And I'm like, I can't tell you what you've seen. Because all this time, people never realized that your intro is the other room.
Exactly.
So nobody ever figured that out. It's like, so you think like
because when I started the channel, I was in the other room.
Yeah.
This right here was this was like a den in this room. So
see, Tony, what I always thought the room was, see where you're looking now? I thought you're looking at that area.
Oh yeah,
like I always thought that's
a wall. This is
see, I always thought you got such a big
stairs in front of me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. I have my theater in front of me, so
yeah. See, that's what I thought Tony had, something like that.
No.
Yeah. But
no,
if you haven't seen Tony's tour, definitely check it out. It's really cool. It's really cool to see the collection. I love the new little shelf behind you.
Thank you.
The little house.
I love it.
So yeah, definitely right here, for sure.
Oh, thanks.
All respect. My favorite fish. What you got going on?
Oh, not a lot. Just thank you very much for having me on, and I hope I squashed any illusions of me not being a Gen Xer.
You did.
Recording the audio.
I'm there, guys. I'm there. I feel you. I'm there with you. I'm there. I was there a whole time.
Yeah.
But I just want to say thank you very much for having me on. This was a great time. Very, very nostalgic. I love talking to you guys. It's always a good time. Video wise, I'm not sure what I've got coming out. Best Buy's kind of put a little damper on some of my content, but I'll think of some stuff, and you guys will be the first to know about it. So thanks for having me. Hope everybody has a wonderful night.
Yeah. I'm not trying to start another conversation, but I see people in there that I know. I know Susan goes. I know Ken goes occasionally. Huck, I know you're out there. But what is Tuesdays going to feel like to you guys? I mean, being that Best Buy usually is your first source. I know Fish, you hit vintage stock too. Is it going to feel different now, or are you just going to just start in like a Walmart and go from there?
Yeah, I think so. I think Walmart.
Yeah.
Vintage stock. Yeah.
Go
to where the movies are.
Yeah, Best Buy just won't be a part of it. And for me, because I always work on Tuesday, I was never really part of the Tuesday crowd because I would get off at 7, and by the time I get there, they close at 8. So I would just shop on the weekend, and now it just means Best Buy won't be where I shop on the weekend. So I feel bad for like Sue, Durant Cinema, Alex Thomas, the guys who really made that a regular Tuesday thing.
It's like an event.
I mean, yeah, my heart really goes out. That's like what they do. And it's like, I mean, Walmart will have a different energy to it, but it'll be different,
And availability too. That's the thing.
The hillbilly hunter will be okay though.
That's right.
Talking about the hillbilly hunter.
Yeah.
I love this. He said he never noticed the other room because he's always rocking out to the Basement Blues tune.
Yeah. My dingle.
Yes. It's still I think it's gonna be fine. I think
it'll be good. Yep. Maybe
you'll order more through the mail. Maybe you'll find a better Walmart if your local one is kind of cheesy, I think it'll be a few months of transition, but then it'll come together. It always does.
Well, see, and that's another thing is like Walmart going to put all these exclusive steelbooks and stuff out in store, and it's going to be online order only, or so that's another thing that kind of
some Walmarts you don't want to put that stuff out there because they'll grow legs and walk away.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us. All right. Finally, thank you again. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you, everyone on the replay. Thank you to this awesome panel. Always a great time talking to each and every one of you individually and now collectively. Like I said, Wednesday, not this Wednesday, next Wednesday, we will have another installment of this new series, The Roundtable. Looking forward to it. Hope you are as well. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And as I always say, go watch a movie. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.